And I believe we left off at Joshua chapter 15, verse 63. As for the Jebusites, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the children of Judah could not drive them out, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Judah at Jerusalem unto this day. Notes. Jerusalem remained in the power of the Jebusites until David, a type of Israel's mighty king. Well, he captured it. In how many lives is found a fortress opposed to the government of the Lord, which ought to have been conquered at the beginning? Satan knew that Jerusalem would ultimately become the capital of Israel, and therefore he would seek to make it his stronghold. Well, and he did that for many, many years. Now this tells us that the very area in the believer's life which is ungodly and which the believer has the greatest difficulty in conquering is the very area which the Holy Spirit desires to make our strong suit, in essence, his capital. This is why the battle is so intense in such a capacity. Spiritually speaking, the Jebusite must be driven out of the land with nothing left of that former enemy. Chapter 16. And the lot of the children of Joseph fell from Jordan by Jericho unto the waters of Jericho on the east, to the wilderness that goes up from Jericho throughout Mount Bethel, and goes out from Bethel to Luz, and passes along the borders of Arki to Ataroth, and goes down westward to the coast of Japhleti, unto the coast of Beth-horon, the nether, and to Gezer. And the going out thereof are at the sea. So the children of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim took their inheritance. Verse 5. And the border of the children of Ephraim, according to their families, was thus. Even the border of their inheritance on the east side was Ataroth-Adair, unto Beth-horon the upper. Verse 6. And the border went out toward the sea to Mechmethah on the north side, and the border went about eastward unto Taanath-Shiloh, and passed by it on the east to Janohah. Verse 7. And it went down from Janohah to Ataroth, and to Naarath, and came to Jericho, and went out at Jordan. The border went out from Tappuah westward unto the river Cana, and the goings out thereof were at the sea. This is the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Ephraim by their families. And the separate cities of the children of Ephraim were among the inheritance of the children of Manasseh, all the cities with their villages. And they drove not out the Canaanites who dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwell among the Ephraimites unto this day, and serve under tribute. Notes. Now this was wrong for Ephraim to have done. They were to destroy these nations, whatever they may have been, and not put them to tribute. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 3. The Holy Spirit is never satisfied with half measures. Every vestige of evil must be destroyed in our lives, and it is not enough that we merely have victory over the weakness, whatever it might be. Now the weakness itself, and in every capacity, must be removed. Well, this can only be done by the believer understanding that everything comes to us through Christ and the cross, which demands that the cross be the object of our faith and forevermore. And as we've stated over and over again, the Holy Spirit will then help us grandly, thereby performing the work as is needed to be performed, and which only He can actually do. Romans chapter 8, verses 1 and 2. And we're turning the page. Chapter 17, the borders of Manasseh. There was also a lot for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was the firstborn of Joseph, to wit, from Machir the firstborn of Manasseh, the father of Gilead, because he was a man of war, therefore he had Gilead and Bashan. Notes. The whole land was, in effect, first given to Judah and Joseph, and the other tribes receiving their portion according as they stood in relationship to the royal and firstborn sons of Jacob. Now these sons united typify Christ, to whom the whole land is actually promised. Psalms chapter 2 and Psalms 110. Now all was according to the word of the Lord. The casting of lots, the men who were to cast them, the divisions of families by tribes and by names, everything was divinely inspired. Nothing was left either to the will or wisdom of any man. The portions were allotted according to their families, and this expressed the measure of their need, and it was richly supplied. In Ephesians, the believer's lot is given not necessarily in proportion to either faith or need, but according to his riches. Ephesians chapter 1. And the meanings of the Hebrew names of the towns and mountains and so forth, which on the one side separated tribe from the world, and on the other side from a brother tribe, are full of valuable teaching to the believer. They plainly show how fellowship with evil on the other hand, or on one hand, or a lack of fellowship with truth on the other hand, they sap the faith and they rob the servant of God of power to drive out the inhabitants of the land. Verse 2. I'm coming down with a slight cold, but we'll go right on. There was also a lot for the rest of the children of Manasseh by their families. For the children of Abiezer, and for the children of Abiezer, and for the children of Helek, and for the children of Azriel, and for the children of Shechem, and for the children of Hepher, and for the children of Shemida. These were the male children of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, by their families. Verse 3. But Zelophehad, the son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons but daughters. And these are the names of his daughters: Mahlah and Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. And they came near before Eleazar the priest, and before Joshua the son of Nun, and before the princes, saying, The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our brethren. Therefore, according to the commandment of the Lord, he gave them an inheritance among the brethren of their father. Notes. Now, some 4 times the Holy Spirit records the faith of the 5 daughters of Zelophehad. That's in Numbers chapter 26, verse 33, chapter 27, verse 1, chapter 36, verse 11, and later on in the book of Joshua, chapter 17, verse 4. Now, even though they were women, and no provision had been made for them in the law as it regards inheritance, their faith claimed just the same as their male counterparts. And as well, through faith they forged a path not only for themselves, but for all other families in Israel, where all the offspring were females. Verse 5. And there fell 10 portions to Manasseh, beside the land of Gilead and Bashan, which were on the other side Jordan, because the daughters of Manasseh had an inheritance among his sons, and the rest of Manasseh's sons had the land of Gilead. Notes. We are told here where the daughters of Manasseh had their actual inheritance. It was on the west side of the Jordan River. Manasseh had a portion on both sides of the Jordan River, basically. Verse 7. And the coast of Manasseh was from Asher to Michmethan, or Michmethah, that lies before Shechem, and the border went along on the right hand unto the inhabitants of En-Tappuah. And Manasseh had the land of Tappuah, but Tappuah on the border of Manasseh belonged to the children of Ephraim. And the coast descended unto the river Cana southward of the river. These cities of Ephraim are among the cities of Manasseh. The coast of Manasseh was also on the north side of the river, and the outgoings of it were at the sea. Where are we at? Verse 10. Southward it was Ephraim's, and northward it was Manasseh's, and the sea is his border. And they met together in Asher on the north, and in Issachar on the east. And Manasseh had in Issachar, and in Asher, Beth-shean and her towns, and the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, and the inhabitants of Endor and her towns, and the inhabitants of Taanach and her towns, and the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns, even 3 countries. And we must pick up in Joshua chapter 17, verse 12. Thank you very much.